I started researching what I should do for my sleep apnea uh, back several months ago when suddenly, after years of good treatment through CPAP therapy, it wasn't working right anymore. Just wasn't being consistent. And I went from being with an AHI under 1 generally to seeing AHI 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or even over 11. And so something was wrong, and I talked to my regular doctor. I talked to a sleep doctor, and said something's wrong here. I don't know what it is. Well, it turns out in the end, from what I could find, being proactive in my health, that my soft palate was collapsing, and not just on the inhale, but on the exhale too. And about the only way to deal with that would be surgery or the pillars, and I didn't want that to happen to my throat. So I found out about the Airway stent online and saw that others had seen it and were interested in it, and uh, ended up talking with a couple of ENTs and uh, went with the stent because it looked like that was going to be what was needed to help me get back to the good sleep at night that I had. And it turns out I was right to be proactive with that. When I first started trying the stent, it arrived, I unboxed it. Here it is. Here's the stent. Here are the other pieces that go with it. Uh, this was, exciting. Hey, is this going to work? And so at first, I just put the tube into my nose, and uh, during the daylight, when I was up and around, and spent, like an hour or so saying, hey, can I adjust to this thing just being in my nose? And the first reaction was a little bit of, like welling up in my eyes, my nose feeling like you just stuck something in here. But it wasn't that bad. I had a runny nose for a while, and then that dried up. And now, the next was, okay, well, let's try it with the stent as well. And so, I just learned I can just set it all the way in there and get it in, and then, see how it all goes. And again, a little bit of a runny nose. So I taped it down and had a day where I would walk around for a little bit in the evening, and then my nose would dry up and I'd get ready for bed. And as you can see, I'm talking. My wife and I can talk if it's in my mouth, in my throat, and I didn't find it all that uncomfortable. Sometimes swallowing's a little scratchy, but my initial reaction was, "Wow, I shouldn't have been, you know, too worried about this. It's working." And so yeah, um, this is like great. And then I slept, and I had one of the best nights ever in my sleep. And my AHI went all the way back down again on my uh, bi-level, because I wear my mask with it, and it was like, this is exactly what I needed. So my first reaction was, yeah, I am so glad I pushed for this, and it works, and it's, some irritation, but I got over that after the first few nights. It's like there's no irritation at all here, as you can tell. So so my experience with the stent, my experience has been really good. I've got it taped on now. You can tell I'm talking, same thing as I would do, as I get into bed, talking to my wife, and um, functioning just fine with it. And at first, I had to adjust to it. It wasn't a long adjustment or a big adjustment, but when I would first put the stent in during the first few days, my nose would get a little runny, a clear runny nose, And so I decided I would put the stent in an hour or two before bed, so that was all, my little nose was like fine with it once it was there. And but then after that first few days, by the end of that first week especially, it wasn't, the experience was just, okay, I'm going to put it in. And then when I'm ready for bed, I'm not having to do it early anymore, not having to do it while I was watching TV or something. It just, okay, bedtime routine, get ready for bed, put on my pajamas, put this on, and and that worked out pretty well. The the other piece, as I've said, I had moved up from CPAP to bilevel as an attempt to help correct some of the soft palate problem, and it wasn't as I said, and so the experience of this in there was, okay, well, how does that work? My experience was, okay, so how can I still put my mask on? And so that was part of my experience too. Can I do what I do every night? And it turns out, yeah, I can. I can do all of that. My experience is, it doesn't, for me, because I like it, I still use the PAP, but I haven't had to. I can nap with this thing on. I could go camping with this thing, not drag along my CPAP. So anyway, my experience is, after a short adjustment period, this is just really, it's just part of the bedtime routine. Okay, I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to put on my pajamas. I'm going to crawl into bed. And in there is, oh yeah, stick in the stent. It's pretty straightforward. From when I started months ago on the stent to now, it's just so part of the routine. Um, and then I get up in the morning and I pull it out and rinse it off as they show in the instruction videos, and disinfect and let it dry off there next to the sink, and go about my day. And it's not like I feel anything. It hasn't changed anything inside of me. It just worked during the night for me. So from start to finish, over these months now that I've been using the stent, it's been several days adjustment, getting used to it, and just totally embracing it as part of the routine. The stent has really improved my sleep. Um, I I've just seen in the amount of time I can sleep at a stretch, like I'm not getting up to go to the bathroom quite so early. It's like stretched out. Um, my sleep doctor is so impressed with the data off my machine. As I said, here, I'll show you. I can I can still mask up, uh, either with this kind of nasal mask, nasal pillows, or um, I have the tape down low here because I wear a bleep mask that sticks adhesive wise right here onto my nostril, and it actually helps seal really well with the little tail of the stent that comes out. And and so I use this with my CPAP most of the time. I can go without it with just the stent. And quality of sleep, I'm going to show you on this right here, all smiley faces. Um, and and I'm going, here's a month's report, and I'm I'm like at here, show you on the screen here. This monthly report, I have zeros all month. 0, 0.0, 0, 0.0, 0, 0.0. And I look at the data card in Oscar and look at the software of it. And I'm having, the machine is having to do so little at this point because the stent is doing so much. This is helping my anatomy. And that means I'm not having any arousals from apneas or hypopneas. I'm able then to like stretch out the time period before it's like, oh, my body wants me to get up and go to the bathroom, and then I come back and my body's not averse to going back to sleep, and I can fit in some more if I want, or I can just be up. That is so different. 0.0 for a whole month of AHI on the machine. That is so different from what I had before. Even going back to when CPAP was working for me, I would have under 1 AHI, but I could never go for a week of zeros. I could, and so the quality of sleep is just terrific. The data from my little pulse oximeter that I wear at night shows that I'm averaging like 96% oxygen at night, according to this, and it's not dipping below 90%. And so even though I can't tell that quality, it's like reassuring to me to know this is really working. This is great. So I just am amazed that I've found a way to have perfect AHI after having been severe AHI without anything. It's just really improved things. I've had really good support from the Airway Care team. I asked questions leading up to the time period where I was going to get the stent and my doctor approving the stent, and I have talked to them since about the great results I'm having, and asking about like where to get more of the disinfectant, and they've always been very quick to respond to my emails. Reached out by phone, just, hey, it's been a week on the stent, how's it? It's still going okay, we're glad to hear all of that, are you feeling benefits? And so I get the sense that the team really wants people to succeed on this, which is really good. And my doctor is willing to talk with them about it too, because it's just new. My doctor had never heard about this, so for the team to be able to say, yeah, we'd be glad to reach out to your doctor, that's a good thing too. I'm just really glad to have that kind of level of support for this device, and it's very good, very strong support system that they have going, and I appreciate it. I like the responsiveness, as I said, and the care that they're giving.